In today's programme, we hear from Mohammed Hanif, an award-winning Pakistani novelist and journalist who looks back on a memorable moment from his childhood.
The first time I saw Ustad Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, he was stuck in the door of a van, and I feared that he might never be able to get out. I was 8 and had never seen a man so enormous. Nusrat was not yet the global music sensation that he would become in a few years, but he was already a rock star in my hometown. His annual concert meant deserted streets, the whole village pulled an all-nighter, even old women who never ventured out sat on the rooftops and listened. I, of course, didn't know anything about him or his unique brand of qawwali singing. Like every other 8-year-old who got excited whenever they saw a new vehicle, I had been chasing the van as it rolled into the village. About a dozen people disembarked from the van, one carrying a harmonium, another one a pair of tablas. Nusrat appeared last. For a moment, the door of the van seemed too small for him, and he seemed stuck fast in the opening. But then he completely defied my fears. He moved sideways and maneuvered himself out, ignored us kids gawking at him, and walked away towards the venue where crowds had been gathering since the afternoon. The annual performance was organized by an early Nusrat fan, an old man who sold snacks on the streets of Okada. Baba Bhalyanwala and 4 of his sons put aside a part of their daily earnings, and at the end of the year, the money was used to organize the concert. When you bought a snack from Baba Bhalyanwala, you were effectively buying yourself a concert ticket. Later in the evening, I watched him perform. I found a spot behind Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan and his party. So I watched the audience watch Nusrat. I didn't understand the lyrics. An 8-year-old can be forgiven for not understanding the intricacies of Sufi love songs, but I think I understood something about the performers. The men behind Nusrat clapped their hands in rhythm with the tabla beat and joined in the chorus when Nusrat descended from his solo vocal flights. I watched him from behind, his massive shoulders bobbing and his small hands jabbing the air. I was mesmerized by the audience. I had never seen grown-ups do such silly things. A school teacher swung upside down from the tree branches. Hard-working farmers gyrated to Nusrat's hypnotic sound. Others just sat there on the dirt with their fists raised in the air. Periodically, a small group got up, walked up to the singing party, and showered them with rose petals and 1 rupee notes. I sat behind the chorus and observed the internal dynamics of the group. They clapped and joined the chorus, occasionally riffing on Nusrat's soaring notes. Slowly raising the tempo of the performance, they seemed to be enjoying themselves almost as much as the audience. Before the performance ended, I had decided that this was what I wanted to do in life. Sit behind a big man, clap my hands all night, make the audience dance, and if they wanted to shower me with 1 rupee notes, that was okay too. For the next few months, I prepared for this career. I would be found by my family perched on a tree branch, clapping and singing, the top of my voice, the only words that I remembered from that night's performance. Mera piya ghar aaya. My lover has come home. Oh yes, my lover has come home. Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan's rise coincided with the arrival of portable cassette players in Pakistan. People would record, copy, and share. His music blared from tractors in the fields, from grocery stores, from intercity buses, and occasionally from a huge stereo perched on the shoulder of a man who always walked in the middle of the street. And then Nusrat went global. He performed in faraway places like Sao Paulo and Tokyo, where, according to a legend, people treated him as if he was the reincarnation of Buddha. DJs remixed his spiritual ditties, and he became a rave on Europe's indie scenes. Peter Gabriel recorded him, and so did British Asian producer Bali Sagoo. Meanwhile, people back home, those who had followed him on his village concert circuit, started to complain that Nusrat was losing his purity. Coming from the old faithful, these complaints were understandable. His name had become synonymous with spiritual, soaring melodies, hypnotic beats, everything associated with the East in the Western imagination. You want a piece of music for the climax of a movie called The Passion of Jesus Christ? You went to Nusrat. You are making a film called Natural Born Killers? Nusrat is your man. Big budget Bollywood film needs a set piece wedding song? Just get Nusrat to do it. His old fans accused him of selling out, of losing touch with his roots. A friend made an award-winning documentary called Nusrat Has Left the Building. It basically accused him of crass commercialism, of peddling a dubious spirituality to the first world. I think his die-hard fans often forgot that Nusrat was a pop singer in every sense of the word. He always wanted a bigger stage. His early fans imagined him as some kind of hermit Sufi who walked out of a cave one day, was dazzled by the lights and colors of the marketplace, and sold his soul to a devil. I tried to remind them that even at the very beginning of his career, he never was a purist, let alone a hermit. I got an opportunity to ask him a few questions a decade and a half after I had seen him perform for the first time. I was backstage again, but this time not in my hometown, but far away in Washington, D.C. I had a journalist's pass, and he was singing for Washington's posh set in a 5-star hotel. He was as good as I remembered him. After the concert, I did a brief interview and couldn't help mentioning that I had seen him in a small village far, far away. Why don't you come to Okada anymore? I tried to play the hurt old faithful. He gave me a wise man's sad smile. Baba Palyawala is no more, he said, and his sons are not that keen. But yes, I'll come when I am invited. I had left my hometown more than a decade ago and had no idea that Baba was dead. I felt embarrassed and nostalgic at the same time. As Nusrat got busy with other media people gathered backstage, I started chatting to one of his backup singers. In fact, to a young man my own age who had sat right behind Nusrat through his performance. It turned out that he was from my own hometown and had been with Nusrat since he was a teenager. Here was the boy who was living the dream that once I had dreamed. And he wasn't just any other boy who clapped his hands behind Nusrat. He showed me a notebook. I am his prompter. When he is singing, I am the one whispering the next verse in his ear. And so now, many years later, whenever I listen to Nusrat, I always think of that boy from my hometown, whispering the next verse in his ear.
That was the great Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, one of his most famous songs, Sanson Ki Mala, concluding the final programme in the series Sleeve Notes, which was written and read by Mohammed Hanif.